What? Oh, I need a non-black.
That to me.
Once
it.
Thank you. And indeed, this app has
that
a plan.
happened round one when I was structuring school.
Oh, yeah.
I was recommending
My internet.
I got a flash drive, yeah.
I'll just use it.
You should what?
I'll use my phone.
Oh, I'm gonna flash it. It's hard to do. I'm not opening it yet though. Respect. Downloads.
Do you all dual boot or are you just on OS 10?
No dual boot.
I'm just on macOS.
That is the saddest thing I've ever heard in my entire
I
life.
forgot. It should be on there.
I already got it. I got the email.
Okay.
You can pull it up.
The anticipation.
Yeah, sorry.
Alright, sorry, we're good.
Everyone's good? Advantage 1 trilateralism, fixed presence on sustainable, trimming down forces, key to trilateral integration, now intended for USFK could be to join missions far from the Korean need for trilateral cooperation, research, attention to rise advanced planning to pull Japan's free and second war basic SDGs materialization to avoid a worst case scenario. This program calls on the allies to adopt a more integrated approach to US and London, help with new challenges amid recession optimization of all alliance relations, but address the ongoing overwhelming task force more efficiently, trimming down in military transformation of the US aims to do more with fewer footprints once she recognizes common security identity, trilateral building Korea, will they celebrate America's military transformation, global repositioning, adds more, doing more with fewer. The US fixed forces, the demands restructuring the alliance of the red of the three now is a unique window of opportunity for trilateralism, moving away from hub and spoke, catalyzes cooperation quicker. 224 no technological but sold to call for circle response. The alliance structure must be revamped. Trilateral alliance would allow strain out the US defense capabilities, drive political realities with alliance building where possible. Now that time memory doing recently into co-op seemed impossible. Circle swings rate heavily during prospects are increasing to reach an agreement on the comfort women issue, moving most highly top scope provocation by the North offering unique opportunity to reshape the security of the US managed relations through the hub and spoke system. The Obama administration should move towards a trilateral security. Trilateral relations would increase Russian US government policy because it's so good have expressed isolation over even the whole street balance on nuclear returns all target over Japan's remilitarization speaks under credit security through so-called trilateral alliance would alleviate worries by reaffirming the US commitment to the peninsula stability to clarifying Japan's role in trilateral relations. So sure both camps US forces to be shouldering less for the burden of stronger partnerships resulting in the least effort for all the US are okay. Japan alliance was the foundation for stability prevents Dokdo escalation and Chinese aggression. Caution 14 batteries could escalate Toko. Give your close season forces defend Dokdo. The match relation does powerful force of nationalism are also working rising power. These disputes escalated recently. Regional diplomacy has not been undergoing strain. The leadership changes, geopolitical reassessment, renewed emphasis on military strength, national assertiveness incident could occur at any time. Contention to this collapse. The North Korean collapse is coming soon, causing nuclear terror. Reaching 15 collapse will occur sooner than expected, given people legitimacy precarious. Get up in the middle, so much more. Scenarios of military and abrupt collapse of the regime is able to particularly gradual period they had for the viral MPA. After the strange 5 times the regime faces discipline which would endanger security and financial lifelines, even security implication of MPA. Asked the department, which means all senior appointments would be nationalized leadership weakness would make you play to prelude to collapse. War harvest represents to be department historically the regime makes overtures to extract food capacity. That capacity is increasingly unreliable. The U.S. sees no hopes of negotiations. The regime have increasingly poor relations with Russia and China claims for help and significant weight gain. Recent risk factors for regime stability, unexpected death, believe with power vacuum cameras carrying out major purchases and subordination, counter-revolutionary fashion, and factional treason and could get loyalty problems at the highest levels and cracks in the regime. The military has been hard-hit. Kim cannot leave when few elites are purged. Their lines are either purged to that defend newly patron British resentment for the tire and extended to revenge by dissident flames. Sonny Neil John knew how to handle this. Even they faced multiple assassination plots with a new certain leader be a skilled false to red and later most worrisome as nuclear proliferation and chaotic collapse results in degraded controlled weapons which would then meet the after proliferation. Scientists find resistant popularities are such possibilities are not a threat global proliferation but a specific threat to Europe's likely buyers would be Eastern Europe's neighbors Dias and Al-Qaeda. Korea's already made inroads in the region. Terrorism caused extinction. 2 and 7 nuclear explosives produce urban casualties extended 1 million even will place nuclear devastating consequences. Terrorist attack could generate casualties least comparable to full-scale nuclear counterforce to super complex smoke could lead to significant global climate perturbations. 3 and collapse causes the Middle East prolocane. And 13, a collapse of the regime could put highly knowledgeable nuclear weapon scientists in need of an employer. If anarchy or scientists could profit by so heavily, could put a select the destination of governments when Middle East scientists would have to work hard to cultivate clients that cause the nuclear war. In bar 6, and multiple nuclear Middle East would be a recipe for disaster. Cold War cannot be emulated. The Middle East is less stable. Second strike Middle East critical establishing deterrence is double. Middle East power runs enough cells before. Second strike nuclear race may create the fear of first strike nuclear attack, which would trigger nuclear exchange warning systems cannot be erected when distances are so small and nuclear multiple environment. Achieving deterrence would be even more difficult. Deterrence may work because the race and correctly build the Middle Eastern countries have not established hotlines, political communications, political world states refined from diplomatically rudimentary nuclear forces would be everyone to acts and some mistakes newly acquired arsenals like the sophisticated attack of great powers. Nuclear would increase the possibility of preemptive strikes and catalytic wars. Current trained and ready forces are key to interdict North Korean Newton Johnson 15 WD elimination operations with typically demanding a manpower intensive to locate secure destroy WD. There's no substitute for the trained and ready forces to perform these. The disparity is increasingly perilous. The North depends even more exclusively on its military. Their survival less legitimacy possesses so fracturing the colony economies. People are starved of severe rigidity of no-co and potential for miscalculation. Such a system renders balance any power inherently unstable. The current posture decimates readiness, frequent turnover, squashes unit cohesion. The plan solves rule in 14 rotational forces, improves combat readiness, unit stability, provides a better option. Return to cold, so slower troops are typically stationed in different freedom, turnover within units, and leadership roles not having to worry about having to replace soldiers, make the units time easier to allow destroys proficiency maintained by that judging people during 19th period. 20 lieutenants work within during the high turnover. It is a constant struggle, and so can leaders trained or restricted or trained far different from states that forward with NTC had far access to aviation assets. The plan vastly improves training, supports an expeditionary mindset, and shores up deterrence. Cage 15 rotational deployment of effective system maintaining the readiness military expertise. Rotational deployment is better for peninsular defense. More troops have to come without any training on Korea. They spend months getting familiar. This results in concentration, which effective troop creation. Most units have to 7% turnover each month. They need to train once they arrive. It's very difficult to even eat ready, said Bennett, senior defense abandoned the rotational system. You need to master all skills before arriving. Troops come and stay together, reducing this turnover. This makes for a far better trained unit that is more cohesive. They should be more capable, more likely to turn no-co. The flexible deployment would limit vulnerability, surprise attack, provide greater latitude for supporting roles that would cover wider expeditionary and conflict. Stabilization causes more troops than currently deployed. We will insert a chart. Bennett and Lind and 11 stability forces would disarm soldiers. The stability forces would need to guard weapons to consolidate them. Forces need to look at secure weapons and WMD overnight collapse could assure insurgency and banditry. Soldiers units could refuse to afford disarm because they felt the need to afford them and protect families or engage in predatory behavior. Post collapse could be highly uncertain environment. Military planners need to allocate combat troops to confront these challenges. The plan integrates the Army Reserves and the Guard, which is key to surge. Burn 2 kid armies permanently stationed in Korea. Rotation brought advantages with far fewer difficulties and division exchanges. Goals of assignment stability were provided by exchanges from much less disruption of combat readiness. Deploying our units from the CONUS would reduce costs from robust overseas infrastructure with the use schedule of the National Guard Reserve could be integrated overall deployment for the Army, reducing turbulence. Commanders can more effectively spend training dollars focusing on duties expected during upcoming deployment. The soldiers experiencing a great deal of turbulence and numerous short fuse deployments is having an adverse effect on retention. For the retention could be reversive. Deployments were less likely frequent and more likely scheduled. Numerous states have forces could deploy carry the deployment load evenly with this greater pool of deployment personnel. Force by deployment process schedule will be improved ability to integrate reserve components into our Army's missions. If the soldier this is repeated deployments in the same location and for his entire career, she will have a vested interest with a big proficient of the language, learning culture, geography, etc. Descent to local knowledge should make for a much more capable soldier. The unit will have to arrive and hit the ground running as of deploying. Units take hold, more units will become trained. Since units regularly deploy, they will become more proficient in skills and can quickly and effectively move overseas. This will yield an Army with flexible responding to crisis. The active deployment have become a core capability by the National Guard and Reserve. The Niagara 2 active component divisions, even greater flexibility can be exercised to the main relevance. The Army must ensure a dramatic change, making itself more mobile, limiting presence to rotational deployments, maintains all necessary components for deterrence and assurance. Redeployment solves downsides good when 12 and increasing austerity offers fundamentally gets smaller during diminishing resource duty, ability to leverage wider capacity and optimize our posture, and so can the mission reduces presence but maintain reception stage over movement integration enables to facilitate rapid buildup of combat power. The U.S. should maintain those forces which provide unique capabilities that do not exist, and so can presence beyond should be provided by forces deployed on rotational basis in addition to serving as a deterrent. Rotational forces will train for contingencies familiarized with Korea and operations integrate with the partners. Rotational forces will be integral in supporting PACOM security co-op. Reducing our presence will provide leadership latitude to offset and strength reductions in enhanced presence in other areas of Asia. The treaty does not require the U.S. to permanently be as forces in SOCA. The current contribution depends on represents the 5% of the total combat force of SAO. The deterrent mechanism is not the 28,500, but the troops and capabilities we bring to the fight. Remaining presence to build rapidly build combat power would deter. No, the U.S. can produce forces that acceptable to SOCA. The U.S. role is based on commitment, not the number of troops. The U.S. must increase diplomatic, economic, and informational efforts offset and increase presence. Obama, with his interest in Asia, is moving toward with immediate interest in Asia, is moving to the direction as they work to facilitate outbound transfer, implement FDAs, and exercise soft power in dealing with no-code. Their disheads are empirically denied or not unique because we just shifted a brigade to rotational posture. Beyond half, in 15, the Department of a major U.S. military unit will not affect commitment beefing up the alliance. SOCO is said to witness the largest rotation of U.S. troops and replacement about 15% of troops. There is angst in relationship itself. I don't think that's the case in the near future. The United States should significantly reduce its non-reception, staging, onward movement, and integration enablers military presence from the Republic of Korea from Northeast Asia.
Retaliation to terror calls nuclear war. This card, ace and 10.
I read that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
You can grab the plan. We will start prep.
Yeah, we went through that too.
Yeah.
They're speeding today.
Everyone good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What presence does the plan remove?
The non-reception, onward.
Yeah, I understand that part. Can you explain like what assets are removed, what forces?
What forces?
Yeah.
Michael's probably better equipped to answer that
We
question.
would probably remove the plan would likely result in the removal of the majority of army assets and ground troops. We would likely leave a couple thousand extra troops who can equip and be personnel for the pre-positioning equipment, which allows for a surge response in crisis. However, it's a far lighter footprint than the status quo.
Okay, so you remove ground forces from Korea. Is that it?
We remove other components of some assets,
Well, like what assets?
like aerial assets, naval assets.
But they're all
to
from
eliminate
Korea,
risk.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So under what circumstances can the presence that the AF removes be reintroduced into the region?
So our evidence says that likely the plan results in conducting power projection missions from CONUS-based forces.
Where is CONUS?
It's the continental United States.
Okay,
Right
so
here.
forces deploy from the continental United States to where?
To Korea or other bases in Northeast Asia.
Why do they
Or
deploy
other
from the United States?
Or other
Wouldn't they
contingencies.
deploy faster from Korea?
Would they deploy faster from Korea? Yes,
Yeah.
but those forces are unnecessary and untrained, so even if it would be faster
But
that's
the
large
plan can't train forces, right?
No, but we have arguments about why rotational forces are necessarily better trained.
Why?
Okay, a couple of reasons. First is the
And also, what part of the plan says rotational?
so the plan leaves all of this infrastructure for rotational forces to be easily integrated back into Korea, which our argument is that it would likely result in a shift towards a rotational presence.
And the reason for that is that the last time we withdrew 5,000 troops, as per the on-hub evidence, we shifted to a rotational posture.
But that was
after
an
we got rid of
explicit
that
posture
brigade.
shift, correct? The plan does not mandate a posture shift.
That's correct, but it leaves the infrastructure there for the posture shift, which the United States is already moving to on the margins.
It's moving to on the margins. I don't
Right.
know.
not receive forms.
Yeah, I know, it's still attaching.
That's okay.
And on the way.
No, we're stuck.
My computer, I've somehow set it so it will translate English into another language. It appears to be Turkish.
Wait, does it do that? Does it do that thing where it shows like everything as needing to be spell checked?
No.
Mine
no.
did that one time.
It just like changes people's names.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know Bree Peelan from Michigan. She shows up in my chat as Bree Gage.
The order is 5, and then trilateralism, and then the collapsing edge.
I still haven't got that.
I just received it.
Did it arrive?
Yeah, I got it. So trilat and then collapse?
Yep.
Great.
Ooh, cutting it close.
Ooh, yeah, we are living on the edge. Yeah.
Just be careful to not check that.
Okay.
Does anyone have 3 more sheets of paper?
I think I have some.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jerry, do you have it? That we used all of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, some of it falls in the trash.
There you go. Good. Alright, everybody good? Cool. Significantly is vague guarantee circumvention read a point which takes out the Afghan specifying the point text or guts, counterpoint competition, dissettling strike, and intense border strike fears are unfounded because the bill says significantly the bill does not define the word, leaving after the discretion of bureaucrats voter for fairness education. Next off is the counterpoint. The United States should create a bipartisan National Security Commission modeled off the Government Accountability Office with senior executives appointed by both the executive and legislative branches. Task the National Security Commission with studying the United States military presence in the Republic of Korea in Northeast Asia. The National Security Commission should review United States military presence in the Republic of Korea in Northeast Asia and publish a recommendation to the Department of Defense that the United States should significantly reduce its non-reception staging, onward movement, and integration enablers military presence from the Republic of Korea from Northeast Asia. Prior review of presence withdrawal by a bipartisan commission built inter-branch cooperation and shaped agency decision-making solves 100% of the admin avoids politics. Collins in 14 we need less politicized. Studies too late. The future and spur inter-branch documents are critical for ambiguity for the commission to serve. In the same way the GOA does, the NSC can be a picture of executive legislative with seniors appointed, with senior executives appointed, with seniors appointed. Each branch should help in mock strategies by assessing the products the commission can set on forces strategy. If you do alternative strategies comparing presence with offshore balancing, we need leaders who bring harmony. They insulate us against the defense illusion. And next off is the no great power war contention. ACE point is deterrence, economic independence, political and business elite, and social changes. Disease in 14th Federal War 3 has faded into nothingness. Probability of war is the lowest it's ever been. Paper studies reveal that deaths from or ethyl mutual intersection provide a huge incentive for launching activities. We have, but the probability is incredibly low. Nobody wants to be the cause of Armageddon. What about a non-nuclear war? Other changes have made that highly likely to this world. The world has become much more economically interconnected. Treaties and predicaments have intertwined countries around the world. Interdependency has become too big to fail businesses. The most loose, well-connected domestic interests are more dependent on access to global markets. These are building huge incentives to global war. Other challenges have been social. The spread of the internet has brought the world much closer and more connected.
We'll stop time.
Rip. Yeah, sure.
How do you like the edge
just
now,
started over.
Chris?
Alright, I'll finish one and see on your computer. It's fine.
Or, no, we can wait for you to stay back on.
Let's solve
Yeah,
this
you
problem.
should just move here.
Okay.
Also, if it's a terminal problem, Carrie, you
Yep.
can use mine.
You were writing all the answers the whole time.
No, I.
Sorry.
Okay, we're gonna turn this
Does
off.
someone have the speech time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
it's 7:12.
Okay.
That is commensurate with what I did.
Sorry.
I said it, but I started stopping.
Hey, Drew, can I have your computer? Thanks. Hold on, I gotta figure out where I was in the card.
Okay, the sick part is that now you don't have to debate on a Mac, so
There you go. Oh, sorry, buddy, you're like dead. That's okay.
Second time in 2 years.
Too big to fail, I think is where it was.
Can I set my timer to that before? It was 7:12.
7:12, yeah. Thanks.
Do you need my mouse or yours?
Mine.
There you go.
Where did this go?
Did it fall? Oh yeah.
It's right there.
So, sorry about this, everyone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're like dealing with this really efficiently.
Oh, hey, there's a question mark.
Yeah, it's making some fun noises though.
Maybe you could pass it to him and he might
Yeah.
be able to make this turn on.
Yep.
I
can work on
it.
it.
Sounds like
Don't. Yeah. I don't
Don't
mess
try
with
too hard.
anything. Okay, I'll just.
Sorry, man.
You're good. Make sure the feet hands up.
It says stand stable. We
Yeah.
can take a second here and just
Yeah, let's.
make sure we're good. No rush.
Yeah.
You
Stand
know,
still.
I mean, third level of this game will become a problem one day.
Get shorter.
Stand,
first.
good to go. Are we stable from there?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm one of the ones E. That was fun.
It's okay.
There's a question mark. Yeah, it's Just bad. not It gonna was mess making with funny it. noises. Okay, we were too big to fail. Everyone good? Alright.
Business has the most loose, well-connected domestic interests and more dependent on access to the global markets. There are huge incentives to global war. Other changes have been socially spread at the internet has brought the world much closer. A more connected, empathetic, and democratic world has been much harder for warmongers to go to war. The world as a whole is getting richer. Countries are less desperate to go to war to see that other people stop. Peace and point is social or political psychology has changed public will and allow war. Saying second 11 support for obsolescence can be found in a shift for some militaristic political psychology after countries have found warfare. Starting war begin to change the growing disdain for war continue to appears to have suspected today for today among the great power citizens of these countries are devoting resources and lives to war. Great powers have reduced resources devoted to militaries. The absence of major war is not simply a temporary lull, but a more lasting change. Major war is not simply absent, it is obsolescent. No nuclear war leaders would be assassinated. First Walsh in 85, no president would launch a nuclear attack by the consultation with his staff. Members of his staff would resort to assassination before allowing themselves and the nation to be subjected to a retaliatory Holocaust. Next off is the dis and harm reduction legislation. Top of the agenda. PC key Bennett in 328. Obama headline image or someone on drug abuse with Republicans racing against Obama suspected the Prince Obama. Expect Obama to push for action as the House returns Obama plea for bipartisan priorities. My surprise. The Senate, the White House votes for Republicans to spend on final bill that expand treatment and increase Naxaline partisan. Solomon could sing the House take up the bill in the coming weeks and the plan cost capital will go on in 15 reforms generate backlashes going easy and the DPRK from Congress attempts to steer action in a different direction. The administration leading a policy area as North Korea has been a difficult task rethinking the basis highly different things but liberals and conservatives hold towards members attack reforms conservatives disagree different policy. This is crucial understanding the backlash. Republicans are likely to attack the administration. Harm reduction is modeled. Heroin is key in piecemeal reforms spelled wild. In 13, the prohibition of the United States may be leading cause of the epidemic. The drug problem has led to the global erosion of support for the war on drugs that has generated advocates for reform who see policies surrounded in health. The United States should stand at the forefront of reform by implementing demand-side policies for this movement to control the epidemic. There must be a consensus that current drug control policies are morally noxious. Stigma and fear associated with heroin has precluded the consensus and perpetuated ineffective policies sufficient to call on the United States to do more to reduce its demand. The coverage of classification is a drug problem is health and social challenges to be managed. The emergence has set the stage for a cultural shift placing the United States in a unique moment to revoke prohibitionist ideals and replace it with more policies that on health. The United States can foster reform. The U.S. will influence over the rest of the world. So call for prohibitive policies. The majority that follow. If the United States leads for more tolerant drug policies rather than health, the majority will follow. Complete reformation is too aggressive to succeed against bureaucracy. Piecemeal approach, but it acts as a catalyst for transformation. Salt states would in a debate about harm reduction is over. Reduction has been shown to be effective. Has been shown to be effective at reducing HIV. Only 5% have access to HIV prevention. Discrimination discourages users from getting much HIV can thrive on checked. Users are denied users are denied services. It is difficult to find evidence that enforcement achieves these objectives. There are side effects. It increases HIV infection, harsher penalties, creates conditions for extensive spread of HIV. Unchecked HIV depopulates the globe, turns peace by causing reintervention. Check for HIV depopulates the globe. Evidence indicates the focus will shift eastward and north. We have only begun to experience the HIV pandemic with an incubation of 7 to 10 years. We are well into the infection phase. We have yet to see the astronomical infection rates that translate into 68 million people will die globally. The future of the HIV pandemic is escalating mortality and increasing instability. Next off is the diss that Hillary was now Obama's approval is decline. In 329 voices being made by the Republican campaign taking away attention from Obama's rising approval. This is very significant. This is significant. Research found approval is a key predictor for Solstice. The approval gives Democrats a good shot at the White House. Trump wins the nomination. McNamara 324 Trump tells win the nomination. Are 75% Trump has a 250 delegate lead over Cruz and a much better path to the threshold to win the nomination and withdraw flips the election. Go on 15 channels become the most contentious issue regarding foreign policy. Politicians use the during the campaign rethink of the basis for ammunition for the current position suspicion set the stage suspicions set the stage for fights. The rethink of the basis is has sought the China used to berate Democrats as behaving to Chinese aggression. Public opinion remains negative regarding China public presidential hopefuls. The media and public opinion create roadblocks for the rethink. And GOP president causes extinction from warming. Graves and will have Graves and 1.5 Trump's got climate change. It's standard for Republicans to destroy Paris would be easy. Candidates where candidates come down have consequences for the world. GOP president rollback and clean power plan, the linchpin of U.S. commitments, or pulling out directly Republican president could undo progress and propel the world beyond the 2 degrees Celsius. Even to save off the worst consequences, Republicans will no Republican will uphold the deal. All of them they honor Paris Clinton has been vocal on climate global talks depend on power of the United the president. The next president could break it. Do you want me to read this?
Yeah, skip it. Good.
Trilateralism. Interdependence makes their impact impossible. Buchanan 14 China is Japan's largest export market. To be pretty painful for both mutually profitable trade channels will serve as a strong deterrent to war. Bilateral trade has been recovering nicely. Coup surveyed several flare-ups. Economic ties played an increasingly large role in diffusing tensions as the trade relationship deepened. Policy circles recognize the issue could jeopardize negotiations undermining economic aids. Today, China and Japan are bucking the historical pattern of the powers that be. Decided that there's no need to hurt an important business relationship. Trade really does appear to be calming the waves in the East China Sea. They wouldn't go nuclear park in neither China nor Japan has the capability to wage conventional war. The Chinese Navy is mainly oriented towards costly defense. China's naval modernization is for defensive purposes. The Japanese military does not have ground forces to conduct fighting in the Chinese mainland. Thus, a conflict would be very limited in scope and is highly unlikely that it would turn into a general war or escalate to nuclear conflict. The collapse advantage troop presence is key to prevent North Korea collapse. 12. There are 3 considerations both their personnel and South Korea have in relation with the collapse of the DPRK. The first is that President does not support the DPRK's policy of sometimes North Korea uses U.S. presence for propaganda to rally people to prop up the regime and support the military. The regime is able to point to presence as an imminent threat. While Song may be bad for the people of North Korea, does ensure stability. This is good from a regional stability perspective. A stable DPRK that gradually reforms may be the best scenario. The third consideration is that the president's best posture to his forces to assist others in the region in responding to a sudden collapse to address a humanitarian crisis. And the DPRK's weapons of mass destruction and no North Korean state collapse. The Kim regime is empirically durable.
For the bill that was passed in the Senate.
What does it mean to push them? Like, what is he
he's
actually doing?
He's investing time, efforts, focus with members of the House of Representatives, both Republicans and Democrats, to make sure that there's bipartisan support for the harm reduction.
Okay, time, effort, focus. What kind of effort?
Personally lobbying, probably calling senators or probably calling people, send some emails, going to see them, playing golf maybe, I don't know.
Okay, sounds good. So the link to the app is that we caused Obama to have to go play golf about another issue?
Huh?
So the link to the app is that it takes away time. It's Obama now has to go play golf about South Korea.
It's also like when Obama goes to play golf, then his ability to persuade those individuals becomes less effective, right? It's an election year. People don't want to put themselves in a position that would be contentious.
What
so
evidence says that those Republicans that will spy on to harm
also
reduction?
probably Democrats too. Like I think that 1NC card is pretty good about how he is creating a bipartisan consensus.
Right. Okay. Sure.
So he prevents defections probably too.
Defection. What evidence says that the plan makes Democrats defect?
I agree. I don't think one of our cards said that, but I do think that our card does say he creates bipartisan support.
It creates bipartisan support. What evidence do you have that those people who are considering not voting for harm reduction now are also the people that backlash to the plan?
One, I think that the Golan evidence says that Republicans definitely backlash to the plan.
Where does this card say Republicans?
Hold on.
It says liberals and conservatives attack the reforms, but it's talking about Cuba. It's literally talking about ending the embargo with Cuba.
I disagree. I think that the next paragraph says conservatives desire a tougher policy towards North Korea.
Okay, that's fine. So, why is the plan perceived as not a tough policy, given that it still maintains a attacking?
In cross-ex, you say you remove troops.
Right, but
so there's an immediate signal sent by the plan in an election year to be blown up. Like perception matters more than reality.
That's fine. The wild card perception matters more than reality, so it gets
for like how Republicans would spin the plan.
Okay, cool. The wild card. There's okay. Sorry, better question. Yes, Republicans would obviously be terrible for climate. What evidence says that the Democrats could get through a Republican Congress? Like
well, number one, the internal link we read is about executive actions. The Clean Power Plan is the cornerstone of U.S. commitments at the Paris Treaty. It's it's an executive agency, so a Republican president could direct the EPA to stop doing those regulations. Clinton would not do that.
What evidence says that those regulations are sufficient?
Well, the 1NC card.
Which part of it? It says that those regulations are what matters for stopping the entirety of global warming.
It's a linchpin of the U.S. commitment to reducing emissions, or by pulling out directly, they could undo progress and propel the world far beyond the 2 degrees Celsius. You said prep?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I love to keep this dude alive here. Live streams, it doesn't work.
Didn't your laptop break last year? Which one will it be this time? NW Queer. And then wait, Harvard.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
Are they acronyms?
Exciting. Very nice. It's like signaling reviews in the states of the GCC. He's one of them. Yeah, let's do them all. We'll find out. We're gonna aggressively say. We're gonna aggressively say.
That's amazing.
And then ST was not at.
That's great.
What's your dad?
Henry Frosh.
Richard.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know what happened. So yeah. And you all were doing your room. We were
Very close.
very close.
One seat away from the baby team.
Did they announce it in seed order?
Yeah. Votes. I have the bracket in my pocket. Well, not the bracket.
They're
I have the
debating.
seeds.
Don't distract.
That's like I don't
Okay.
know. One right at a time, Casey.
I'm sorry, my computer's being slow.
It's a
little
secret.
bit, which is the second worst problem this round.
So it doesn't like fall down.
You don't want to take two computer resolution?
They don't.
I mean, it might be past the threshold at this point, Carrie.
Yep. Oh, it's definitely.
Maybe it'll fix it.
Dude, I'm really sorry. I've had a couple
Oh, it's
computer
alright.
mishaps as of late.
I was gonna get a new one eventually.
Better late than
I'll
never.
break by it. Also, this was his fault.
It was.
He's
must be the DP.
Cool. Okay. Trilateralism. Korean collapse. Topicality. No war. Commissions counter. Politics dissent. Elections dissent.
Can you do that one more time? What was that?
Yeah, absolutely. Trilat. Korean collapse.
Yep.
Topicality.
Yep.
No war. Commissions counterplan. Politics elections.
Awesome. All good?
Nationalist pressures and here trigger release trying to see overall economic interdependence and ensure resolution your internal link defense. Let's not assume the magnitude of our internal link of collisions between Japan and South Korea, which emboldens China and encourages greater resolution. They have conceded this conflict will go nuclear. There are low thresholds for launch. Korea advantage. Current troops are ineffective. One is training. They do not have enough time or space in South Korea, which means they are not ready for the mission of interdicting nukes. Two is morale. They are rotating as singular units instead as groups, which means there is no unit cohesion. The Harvard says is critical to warfighting. Three, we do not have enough troops there now, which means we do not have the surge capacity to deal with the North Korean collapse. Only integrating it with the guards and reserves at home is key able to have an effectual response. But for shifting to a rotational posture is key to predictability that harmonizes those cycles and makes that effective. We would have frequent exercises going in now, and our good evidence as a residual posture is enough to buffer against your generic link. Now, yes, collapse regime is weak because of leadership, swamps Kim's purging leads which undermine legitimacy and cause assassinations. There is a huge famine, and Kim's health is declining and die at any time. That's risky. It's a time bomb now is different independently. It causes nuclear and bio war. Rudy 15. NOCO is a time bomb collapse with famine and fighting in nuclear and bio war collapse has been rumored for decades. Who never had a leader down who has done his best to offend at least Kim to drug ill changes defense minister 3 times in 17 years, who changes 5 times in 4 years. It's coupled with sociopath and brutality, purging execution, tip like paranoid despots in the not too distant future. We see changes in the government. Some members of the leaders going to kill him. Then we are going to have change so real game changer. Kim will pull this uncle out of the number 2 swamping that will bear no death sentence to you and your family. Instead of family, we're going to be exterminated political, military, legal, suffer essentially anticipate factions. We're going to have expanded civil war extinction from Iowa. A race to the bottom and crowds out substance literature and clash to check abuse. Now, no war. None of this deals with the specificity of a collapsing North Korea, which undermines the interstate structure or nuclear proliferation in the Middle East. I explained that one case. Great power conflict is possible and could go nuclear real great. Power transition rates, dangerous times, motion had one of precipitated series of wars that depends, make great powers, culture, but it cannot guarantee self and will occur. Dependence itself in advance, what will be violent contest, when the powers beyond making catch rate. Nuclear winter is real and called system controlled to a nuclear winter, we ecological disaster. The same sort of magnitude as major extinction species that occurred in the past, but the stood for fires will outline more effectively. Roger B. Radiation will probably worsen for them for existing space by increasing radiation, allowing quick evolution. New species, there will be plenty of evolutions after will be not include the assassinations argument. There was no way for them to know that with certainty. They don't have an empirical example, and this does not assume crisis situation seriously. There will be wars because of economic security, level of nationals of your Schreiber, and I know nationals wanting to figure out all sorts of ways that time these in the Americans end up shooting each other press. A nuclear was alone does not make war so you can't make the argument that the mere presence of the women's space what we need is every new avenue government back. Whole topic is infinitely regressive because there are an infinite number of random military doctrines they can point to permutation 2 with their counter plan. Permutation past the politics disadds through the process of admission and test the intrinsicness of their argument. Now, I know they have also set the link threshold for politics incredibly low, which means they just have to cause a little bit of perception. Now, the politics disadds. No link. 1, the plan keeps rotations, which means that we can still be tough on North Korea. 2, is there evidence about Cuba, which means the more analogous situation is Iran negotiations, issues are compartmentalized upwards. And 3, politics and almost considerations by part in one area is often carried over in other words, effective approvals, also by the present support of people with more stable factors in the ideology, party, personal views, commitments, on policies, constituency, interests. The opponent needs to lose bring most likely impressionable years, Congress are unlikely to vote against firm ideology endeavored to support an executive. Political capital fails. 2014, freelancer theory denies bill limits on the presidency. Do have to little form how we can't force a vote, he can't pass it over to truth is the opposite of the present takes position. The party becomes far more likely to do the opposite position. We economics of 8600 is saying that votes when the president took a position like the partisan vote rose more than half when the president pushed the opposition became more likely to oppose him. The holds presidency, so I votes are no longer available for any discipline as class. Works have been virtually banned in which jurisdictions. Press made forms trading. I think of the past their strong reasons have even LBJ who get us from right from state non-opportune and controversial policy or could do both winners win free tender. It's a relationship between presidential goals and achievement. Nothing says the president overachieving that goal whether it seems rightly. The last go around Congress and the press falling over bold intimidating president in the bush by steering and will affect the Harris always only one way to preserve their dignity, jumping on the freight train and the illusion of being part of the winning team. So they did lots of thumpers like Supreme Court elections, budget barrels, stops out the 320 to start spring on the wedding conference, for election, hibernation, how the election vote, as a future repeated calendars. There is little election moment in the Senate, very little is made into before, and only past 2 weeks legislation year by energy rules has been related to the back order, or partisan districts, how to respond to Flint. There was also drama with the Supreme Court, the Esseling battle where Garland hitting the lock of the airplane, the Senate and the House of low budget, low legislation, has sort of much the same purpose, drawing attention away from action on other issues. This is a 2-0 week, which is to say that it was like last week, lawyers or reporters that won't pass the next week, 28 partisans wobbling, but think the Senate or so too could a truncated election year calendar. Goals not contain 600 million leverage on Senate press right to have home bill goes to test the House effecting of the Senate back bill in weeks. Democrats are expected to ride the push or emergency funds are largely partisan difference will probably pass it in House provisions. The Senate bill marked the card there. Your internal link is preposterous. A subpoint. It does not solve global AIDS. B subpoint. It does not solve non-drugs vectors like sex, etc. Evolution means HIV is weakening. Same law 14 revolution. HIV is slowly floating across AIDS according to new research. The progress to AIDS more slowly by seeing less harm against the ART and anything to increase the pressure on HIV is making the allied scientists to reduce its power over time. And the plan is key to broader regional call, which solves disaster synchronized progress alliance. Lay foundation for one missions to circle an interest such as would otherwise level regional responsibility national as human riches, but as to non we have an alliance and results of research addressing co-op like we perform core event that code of course through the burden sharing determining national stable method or spreading possible from the plan at least mark the card there. That's a bigger control into disease history. Mental natural disasters will killing millions of rates of disease when our fragrance old populations places low access food and safe water also destruction. Sanitation since obviously there are low levels of New York State station vaccination coverage mark the card there. Elections this makes no sense because Trump just said that South Korea should proliferate and the US should get out, so it cannot be a wedge issue. Warming doesn't cause station by 7. Climate change is not threatening our life in the face of biodiversity to clean out and other rates and counter climate change. Not certain climate justice the whole rise will take centuries will give time to adjust for climate change. Unlike to be ruinous or incentive to address this threat. It would be overwhelming, irreversible flame on 9. Gases are going over for a long time because the world's operating fossil cold turkey, which ain't got thousands of years for the atmosphere. Or just reindustrial composition, the oceans undergoing chemical change, so it will take even longer for us who have not read evidence they would actually get the climate bill through. As Eunice overwhelms Clinton wins South 322, it is likely that the outcome is set, and this election will be the first since 1952 Democrats hold on to the White House for 3 in a row. Primary characteristics shape the presidential election of the economy, the income of president's job, but for the nomination by none of these actors are working the public's favor. As contrast to also with 3.3 million jobs, the national laws of all support is also thrown low now as a 50% job for rating the third factor. The awards nomination process is the most significant dynamic. It's hard to imagine nomination process could be more desperate. Trump's almost this great big Fauci and from just like the underwhelming Walker was supposed to unite the Republican Party, but now magazines are running articles like on Live Walker, what was wrong, Clinton was supposed to be invincible. It turns out that there was a healthy siren that Party Sanders Trump's rotation was running, as was supposed to be just attention seeking, and Asia foreign policy isn't issue for 320 lawyers Asia. The U.S. presidential base would have missing conductors in any form of discussion of the Asia of the Pacific Japan matters, where apparently you would not think about listening to U.S. presidential contenders. They continue to focus on their foreign policy visions, but it was to press their evidence as ISIS and other world wars like terrorists and San Bernardino attacks are already creating a perception of vulnerability, which stops the light.
Good.
Excellent.
Alright. Why is the plan spur disaster response?
Sure, because it causes burden sharing and more equitable planning within the confines of the U.S.-South Korean alliance that allows for both countries to maximize their mutual strength, and it also forces South Korea to take on more of a leadership role in regional collaboration. The Snyder in 2009.
What evidence do you have that says disaster spread will increase AIDS?
Our evidence says it increases disease, which
I know,
triggers the
we've had an argument about disease, about HIV and the unique incubation time of AIDS.
One, the warrants for that would apply to other situations, especially when our internal link says that health systems collapse.
Okay,
But the second level of this
connect to other diseases that are not AIDS.
But we would say the warrants in your evidence apply, but the second level of my answer is argument is disease collapse things like sanitation, health infrastructure, which would stop a response to AIDS. Our internal because people couldn't get treatment.
Okay. The counter plan. Winners win.
What are the reasons to reject the team? Sorry.
Process counter plans?
Okay. Winners win. What evidence have you read that says the plan is a win?
The plan would be a win because if there is opposition to it, then Obama would look like a superhero by taking on that opposition and winning. Our evidence says that winning a big fight when there is acrimonious opposition creates a steamroller effect.
Gotcha. The thumper, this card just like describes a bunch of squabbles and other like laundry list, a bunch of things. What conclusive evidence have you read that says this will derail?
Those squabbles trigger the dissent to the degree that the 1NC cross-X demonstrated the threshold is incredibly low.
Wait.
Because you have said that any controversy whatsoever is enough, and that what triggers the link is Obama getting distracted from going golfing with Congress. Just that presidential focus, and all of these issues like nominating a Supreme Court nominee obviously come before something like opioids.
How much do we have? 630? 627. 627.
attack code. The group email was called Round the Doubles, but no.
I fixed that content. Without the like size.
Oh, it's right here. Oh, okay. We need Tom. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Tom.
Tom.
Collapse.
Can you run through the off case one more time?
Sure. The counter plan, great power war contention, and then advantage one, advantage two. Alright, is anyone not ready? Ten will solve the entirety of the app and recommends the app to a commission that's based on the GAO, which is able to solve because it creates a bipartisan consensus, which avoids the link to politics. I'll get to that more on the line by line. It solves the entirety of the app because it prevents DoD bureaucratic inertia. Here's evidence that DoD bureaucracy will fall in line. Prior review shapes the calculus comma, and 15 quadrillion reviews can be useful tools for policymakers making institutional priorities. Structure reviews help official budgets more with bureaucracy for policy and structure process bills, consensus, planning, and defense process involving participation and necessary degree by and among rank and file personnel, legitimacy chains, whether decisions are accepted highly structured processes. Diffuse concerns decisions are made behind closed doors without broad participation, and recommendation shape the ND policy appears proof Tom 15. Review institutional library public document makes it more likely different will do it because it gives being point advocates can use in budgetary words. QDR has significant impact on discrete issues. The QDR provided top cover to make things that change. 2010 QDR resulted in new initiative of the counter WMD mid-level officials. They use a working group to gain probably approval. Working group influence DOD's decision to allocate resources, and even if the DOD is initially slow to adapt the counter plan, causes congressional follow-on document intent orders the green infrastructure and regulatory precedents for future administration commissions have been instrumental in solving issues. Commission reports, but Russian Congress to enact legislation Roosevelt pursued this when he issued a report studying financial insecurity. This led to the SSA. Now the permutation permit those fails and links to politics. One is no shielding the permits. Congress and Obama act before the commission has issued a recommendation which made the can't blame. Two is secrecy. The commission's deliberations are public, but the plan forces the issue into Congress's radar immediately ensures backlash. Campbell. And two, escalating partisanship has led to gridlock and stimulated by public leaders of both parties can negotiate a deal without the media or interest. One, deliberation the private parties make offers that they didn't have. Like opponents, commission represent a tacit response not to attack the opponent, letting the commission pick the solution. Commissions mean eschewing partisan attacks and doing both links to politics. Only giving the commission time generates political support. The permits in a genuine recommendation, and only the counter gets perceived as considering options from both sides before recommending one action. The perm looks like the commission favoring one side from the beginning, triggers politics and turns the case Hoyer intent. I hope Congress will come to the table without precondition. Commission that bipartisan category real work will not succeed without the support from both sides. If the commission must not take out outside the table parties having dirty appoint members willing to compromise. If the commission takes a one-handed push, it will fail. Now, perm to the counter favoring issue. The counter isn't mandating part of the plan. It recommends a plan to a commission which is allowed to make substantive modifications. And the counter is competitive. It's not topical. It tested words resolved. Should and significant the counter does test a resolution keeping the ground. A resolved its definite dictionary to comic 6. 2 come to a definite decision shall live to the full. And B severance should means must and requires immediate legal effect. Summers in 94 should as settlements with must and who is sufficient to have and in presented ruling. The should mean possibility to use instruction as the jury which tells the triers that they should disregard false testimony in the face. That which is presently or immediately effective. And C shows mandatory in the 9. The widow authority favor interpretation shows is imperative for the present. The word conveys that the obligation cannot be misunderstood. Occurs in the word 5. The word conveys obligation not discretion. Synonymous with must and significant requires uncertainty. Estimates 13 significance defined as certainty, quality, and quantity determination. And the absence of that resolution immediacy of the plan. The calendar giving the example of how the absence implemented because it allows for a world where the plan doesn't happen immediately should be used as part of the affirmative because without the affirmative could delay the plan to get out of all this. Severance is a voter because the skew strategy makes the plan takes conditional which undermines the only stable advocacy on the app. Severance allows the app to spike that of negative arguments. No risk of a delay solvency because it happens within 30 to 60 days. The permutation to do the plan and the process of the counter plan is severance because the severance the immediacy of the plan cross apply all of the answers that perm to the counter plan. Now they say it's illegitimate by framing issue. This is not a consolidated or generic condition counter plan. Extend the column square of the counter plan is functionally competitive. A key debate in military presence literature is whether to withdraw immediately or use prior strategic planning and mechanisms. If we win, that it's competitive, it's de facto legitimate because it's relevant opportunity cost. To immediately withdraw now is our offense process counter plan is a great A strategic draft writing. The counter forces that by encouraging the app to have a reason and conditionality is key. B is next commission counter check and people add-ons and lectures no percent, but that condition counter are key. When they break new small and unconvertible apps, these reciprocity durable fiat means the app doesn't get to answer. B intervention arguments and the negative should be able to read opportunity cost and certainty of the plan's implementation. D is education counter the search of best policy option and process education outweighs any career model decision making requires evaluating the benefits of non-binding recommendation versus doing the plan to conditionally no like to infinite aggression because it is not infinitely aggressive because commissions are uniquely key. Now they say links to politics, but the counter avoids politics and column does a time frame differential and it uses a non-political process and commissions avoid politics glassman and trust and defeats the solution to policy problems may suffer from partisanship bipartisan cares of commissions make their finding and recommendation less susceptible to charge and more politically acceptable bipartisan agreement if recommendation structure ability of Congress among the public even when dealing with device commission commission gets political factions facing negotiations in good faith by short-term political movers that accompany negotiations commission allow legislators to solve collective action problems that Congress established back politically and geographically neutral body. Now the permutation to pass the politics commission the politics agency commission is intrinsic rejected because it allows the after spike out of counter competition and DA length. There's no this is external to but the plan of the counter also severs the plan because they don't actually initiate the plan proves that severance is a voting issue because it makes it impossible because it leads to aft conditionality where they become a moving target makes it possible to be negative. Now no war. No risk of nuclear war. Leaders would be assassinated by their staff before they'd be allowed to cause extinction. That's a wall shift, and they say we have no example, but there's never been an example of a full force counter force exchange in a world where countries would even consider having a hair trigger alert. They would assassinate their leaders before allowing for nuclear escalation. And there's no great power or impact. A is economic independence and information openness creates disincentive for common rapid growth. From globalization means countries don't need to fight over resources, financial needs, block common because it hurts their bottom line. B is deterrence. Nuclear weapons make war between major powers to cause for anyone to start a disease. And C is political psychology brings conflict in the public, general public is increasingly non-militaristic because of reduced military spending and public backlash to conflict that somehow they conceded that political psychology impact means there should be no risk of an impact because that political psychology will moderate behavior of countries and territorial disputes. That means that there's no risk of countries like Japan and South Korea going to war. Here's more evidence of independence and decisions due to me, and I can be reminded. The picture of international system marked by conflict and aggression is an exaggeration, ignores powerful and counterfeiting forces. The most striking features are globalization, institutions, and independence. The overall structure provides constraints that value solidly hits the conflict while creating incentives for great power expansion become obsolete. Trade investment and production raises the cost of war. Revision of states or stakeholders in the top of great global institutions or configured in such a way that states can increase their voice, and only by buying into institutions the values of us versus them become difficult to generate. China, Europe, India, Japan, Iran, and Russia share a common interest in security. The declining utility, war, and emerging independence undercut conflict and instability. Now, advantage one. No risk of conflict. They've conceded the warrants of the Beauchamp and Park evidence, which says that even if there's territorial disputes right now and miscalculation, there's no risk that they would go nuclear because interdependence between Japan and Japan, China, and South Korea is able to check because they're all heavily invested in each other's economy. That's the Beauchamp evidence. Here's more evidence. No escalation. Nation Yamen 14. Albeit sitting in Harlem, there's one factor continuing as a fraction. China is Japan's largest export market, with Chinese tourists or the biggest spenders among visitors to Japan and China are trade partners that they can't do without each other. Escalation hostility seems unlikely never in the history of Japan-China relations. The two men are deeply mutually dependent economically. Both need each other. Such a war is not an option that we can turn to. The Beijing 2 and 3 reasons to not allow violence. I've ever seen China affecting more restraint, fashion, and no sign of Japanese war economic ties. And the U.S. checks Hats and 13 trade will limit conflict between China and Japan, even though tensions are rising. Economic neutral deterrence and preserving the slogans about Japanese products as much as Chinese Japanese products, as much as Japanese to sell them. The products exported from China use Japanese products. China could not precipitate a conflict, but this time the economic miracle that underpins the CP will economic independence, and Washington mentioned Japan will keep the peace. This is also empirically denied. We've had presidents in the region for over 50 years, and there's never been a risk of conflict, and the costs are too high. Parking 12. The reality is that there are several economic, political, as well as logistical constraints that make a war highly unlikely. A war would have devastated human as well as material costs, both politically and military leaders. Before World War I believed that a war would be quick with small costs. Each side also believes that it would win. The leaders of both China and Japan today understand that the cost of war would be astronomical. All of the no great power war also answers this scenario because there's no risk that they would allow territorial disputes to trigger, because the only reason they want to grab territories is for their economy. In a world where their economy would collapse as a result of war, there's no incentive to go to war over territory. Bioweapons are advantage 2. All answer bioweapons North Korea can deliver a nuclear detonation in 13. It's unclear whether comparable missions are able to deliver bioweapons agents. Federal nature biological agents complicates tasks of using missiles as a means of delivering dispersal. It's not known whether biological people would survive and be effectively dispersed by these missiles, and no impact attacks will be small. And so in 14, bioterrorism be imminent concern with mass casualty. Its hack is leading biological disarmament and non-polar factors. Believe the risk of large-scale bioterrorism is quite small. It's backed up by historical evidence of death, where small-scale substances that producing a pathogen points to a weapon that does not knowledge and resources necessary for scaling, storage, and dissemination. Present significant barriers, medical countermeasures, significantly blunt the impact of an attack. Now, all of our reasons why troops are key prove that it's necessary. All of their evidence is in the context of troops are not able to war fight now, but if we win, they have to win. That North Korea would go to war, but if North Korea collapses, then they won't go to war. It's only a question of U.S. forces being able to rapidly deploy and be able to secure the nuclear weapons before any sort of conflict. That's the mind evidence, which means that there's no way that the AF is able to solve because they deploy from the continental United States, which takes too long to deploy in the first place. That's the mind and Bandau evidence, and there's no nuclear terrorism. The Mearsheimer evidence that states won't supply the nukes because they can't control how they're used, even if they get it from the nuclear weapon from North Korea. There's no way that they can deliver it, and U.S. presence being based in South Korea is key to prevent them from getting the nukes in the first place. Here's more evidence about nuclear retaliation, even if it's unlikely. 8 out of 10. Actually, Carrie will be there in the seminar. I'll take prep.
No, I was asking.
We're at 6 seconds.
They did?
Yeah.
Crossfax?
Yeah.
If I say Mimi should give a 1AR, does that mean that she should give it right now before Chris's 1AR?
No, but that's also not in the context of like implementation of a policy.
Okay, so if I say the government should if I say the government should attack North Korea, does that mean the government should attack them at this second?
Yeah, if that was the plan text, then the United States would immediately begin the process of attacking North Korea.
And your Summers and Yato evidence from singular court decisions that are not in the context of North Korea, not in the context of federal code, are enough to defy basic common sense about the words that we use?
I think our interpretation is pretty, common sense based. I don't understand why it's not.
Alright, that's fine. I'd like to talk about this nuclear psychology argument. What are the studies that your son evidence cites about a totally changed mindset shift where people have rejected all war?
Well, it's citing basically internal perceptions in countries where citizens no longer want to go to war because they don't want to devote their resources to conflict, because it diverts resources from things that shore up like support at home, like
now that's
social services,
interesting,
etc.
because unhighlighted around here, citizens in these countries like Germany and France, are now peaceful. What about people who are starving in North Korea after a state collapse, selling weapons to ISIS?
What's the question?
How does this psychology about two relatively advanced democracies in the West apply to a post-collapse North Korea?
I don't think you can win that North Korea goes to war in a world where they collapse. So
North
let's say
Korea
if
never
the
was
regime
North Korean
collapses,
war, it's weapons dispersal.
what organization exists to allow for the forces to fight U.S. and South Korean forces, right?
Actually, again, another impact. But either way, if this psychological shift was so embedded, then why do terrorist groups such as ISIS, etc., exist? Because those are the people who our evidence says would get the North Korean weapons and would use those against the U.S. city.
One, we dispute the claim that ISIS has access to North Korea. They can barely get out of Syria and Iraq. They've lost 40% of their territory.
How do your
20% of
studies
their
assume
territory
the
in
rise
Syria.
of violent terrorist groups?
Violent terrorist groups exist because they have political motivations. That doesn't mean that great powers will go to war, which is our argument. So countries and industrialized nations will not go to war, but that doesn't dispute the notion that there might be aggressive terrorist groups.
Alright, that's fine. Your Walsh evidence says that no president would launch a nuclear attack without a cabinet. How does that assume a fractured cabinet where Kim Jong-un has literally killed off his uncle and everyone there doesn't know if they're going to be next? Why would they have loyalty to that regime?
That might be true, in which case we would argue that, one, there's no risk of collapse absent forces, and other countries would respond in the first place anyway.
What evidence do you have on any of this? On the ISIS stuff, on other countries?
I think all of our arguments about why troops are able to solve is reasons why there's no escalation and no reason they go to war.
Advantage to collapse and then collapse.
Elections top
Yep.
election collapse.
Oh yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Do this. Alright. Everybody good? Cool.
Concede there's no impact of global warming, not going for they said the collapse advantage, no nuclear retaliation, no nuclear retaliation, AC-10 lockdown of terrorist group gaining access to nuclear weapons is lower than some fears consider what my fellow terrorist use of nuclear weapons to engage a whole cosmos uncertainty set aside for the successful delivery and detonation of nuclear devices, no automatic response, automatic processes is all too easy for the discussions of catastrophic terrorism to descend into exaggeration and alarmism, or have 9/11 proves AC-10 even if actual perpetrators of the nuclear violence were identified, does not necessarily fall dead. But a reaction would need to be enormously about one possible option would be to attempt to seize Interior's leadership alive. The importance of limiting the use of force might grow if there was someone treating about the identity of the attacking group, or an attacking group known to a risk of North Korean collapse. They continue the band out, which has had Chinese support to support an increasing economic growth would mitigate the impact of the politics. Decided outweighs the case. Unchecked HIV pandemic depopulates the globe. That was the one to check out. As they can see, we would re-intervene in the region. Durable fiat doesn't solve it. No new arguments protect. The block-long incubation periods means that 6 to 8 million new cases from the 90s are coming by 2020. Default to probability intervening actors check the one he sees. Impacts the millions are already infected. It's just a question of whether or not they see a doctor flips what he see. When he see impact causes rising mortality rates, causes countries to close borders, resulting in economic and political instability, which makes the escalation hotspots more likely, causes global free power war if they win an argument about nuclear weapon complex in 10 pandemic diseases, post-direct disability and security of states, HIV/AIDS will undermine international peacekeeping in the second wave. Attract important countries such as Russia, India, and China, which possess nuclear weapons that are important in critical regions. Suffer security challenges that could be aggravated by HIV will cause political instability that could degenerate into conflict or speed, causes terrorism. Schneider in Slaughter to the impacts of HIV are critical infrastructure that sustain the stability of modern nation states are manifold, are multi-fold HIV is undermining policing and more military capabilities, political legitimacy, and overall social cohesion. Also adds to their vulnerability to extremists and terrorists who seek to corrupt or coerce them into providing cohort cooperation. All intrinsic this argument first is that politics is censored the PG to research on scale domestic topics, and also intrinsic this argument is a matter of negative ground because there's no bright line. They just permanently dissent fairness and reciprocity. There's no good way to test what advantages are intrinsic. A logical policymaker isn't objective. There's no reason that it's necessarily better for the dissent is intrinsic or linked or terminal arguments prove that there are germane backlash to doing there's backlash to doing the plan. The union debate they've conceded it will pass in the assessment. All their thumper evidence is just speculative. It lists a bunch of things that possibly could derail prefer evidence. It's predictive and conclusive on the question of pass. It says that Obama is rallying support, causing a bipartisan consensus in the Senate. It already passed 9-1. It's only a question of whether or not funding is appropriate, which our evidence says it will be if Obama gets him on board. The thumpers group them versus prefer issue-specific uniqueness. None of their evidence talks about in the context of harm reduction. It's top of the agenda. Jeff in 329, Obama made the drug epidemic a priority and has been one of the few areas where the White House draws support from Congress. Obama proposed new funding. The issue is one of the few that Obama has been able to muster support from Republicans. President Hughes appears to make the case for the case for a budget increase. More of McCullough in 215 heroin is the hot issue in Washington. The shifting rhetoric hit a new gear with lawmakers passionate about dealing with the heroin crisis. There was a remarkable focus on heroin. The act would change the drug strategy for punishment to prevention. Obama referenced heroin at the top of his address. Obama's plans to make heroin a priority in 2016, words may be joined by laws that that he's suffering the thumper says SCOTUS no vote. McConnell in 324. The Republicans will refrain from attacks on the nominee, but also refrain from any actions before the election in November. Either a Republican or a Democrat will be elected. If it is a Republican president, will substitute a more conservative name, or Donald. If it is a Democrat, the Senate will swiftly take up their own notice with the Republican leadership to speak publicly about these eventualities. No, but they're thinking along those lines. The election argument doesn't matter because everyone in Congress knows that Clinton is witness and never will ask for their elections argument. The other one doesn't implicate or link it. Massively outweighs the one and the law evidence says that the plan is spun as being too weak on North Korea. The compartmentalized evidence, it's wrong. Silver in 7 political capital terms, whether the president will have the opportunity to offer a detailed domestic according to whether he will be restricted to a series of limited nations simply as the president's political capital determines the size and members of his agenda capitals based on external sources. Much as party support and reputational levels of political capital make it difficult for a president to get much anything done. Capital declines over time. Capital can be real, but only to a limited extent. The declining of capital makes it difficult to assess information. Market and information and. The PC not key argument for issue specific evidence. PC is uniquely key to harm reduction legislation, even if the thesis is generally false. Their evidence assumes politicians have already made up their mind. Our uniqueness evidence says that's not the case. Political science experts would make Beckman in 10 close observers alongside private bargaining as being substantially important. CQ issued a caveat the president's leadership was as important as the report of most many political scientists has agreed, and PC is key in zero-sum best knowledge improves Beckman and Gomorrah 11 where president has no political capital. A president's fate is clear. Presidents must push lawmakers today's White House affords occupants a supply of pervasive Garrison's expressions may sway lawmakers market and lawmakers the winners but argument although link arguments proves the plan isn't a win. The link outweighs on time from silver in 7 capital can be rebuilt only in a limited context. The kind of capital makes it difficult to recruit more expertise and maintain energy. Winslow's bill over Schultz at 13 its options are limited power is temporal greatest when one of them is first elected contextual affected by competing items. Power is finite and decreasing over time. The presidents lose PC presidents get support Obama had political capital in 2009 but Obama was lousy salesman and he lost his control any lessons control of Congress, the internal link argument, the alt cause of more sex arguments don't matter because treatment would solve it. The modeling argument is an assertion without a warrant. The wild evidence answer to countries look to the United States to transition to a global harm reduction model. The evolution argument doesn't assumes new cases, not AIDS that has been incubated in the 90s, which is our argument. The add-on, there's no internal link to it. It isn't about AIDS, which is our impact. They even run a terminal impact to it. That was in cross-examination. Trilateralism at some level already exists in the status quo. And their evidence just says that they have run a piece of evidence which says that new deadly natural disasters would cause AIDS in the first place. More evidence about winners win. Negative messaging outweighs Weaver 13. Negative messages increasingly dominating politics dominated by negative messaging tends to result in suddenly people pay more attention to negative information and are more sensitive to losses and to gains. More evidence. Yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna set out a mark for that.
Alright, we had 34.
34.
inevitable now. The plan is necessary to respond rapid response to remove the threat from loose weapons. Only our evidence comparative. 1, it leads to better training because they train as a unit. 2, morale, it means that they learn the language and they train much better. C, and 3 is that there are functionally not enough troops in the status quo, but only our SOI presence, so our word is able to surge them because it integrates the reserve units, which was not answered. Now, no great power words not take out the North Korean conflict because it's about a determination of who controls weapons and disputes between succession lines, which is much more specific and also not interstate, so there's no economy argument or assassination because everybody's trying to assassinate each other to get the weapons. Now, there is no interdependence or deterrent function in terms of terrorists themselves using weapons. They have incentives, but they are literally suicidal. It's especially true that one attack is enough to cause extinction, which was the conceded tune card, not going for the response thing, but the North Korean scientists are able to cause delivery mechanisms, which means their generic defenses apply, which is the cane card. Now, the other countries are able to jack it, and small attacks spread because of contagion, which means that there are no bioterror defenses, much too generic. No great power war. I will just answer this in terms of the in-bar impact in terms of Middle Eastern proliferation, which they have conceded spreads from North Korean collapse. None of this is in context of authoritarian or new proliferators. Our evidence says that the Middle East is committed, which means that there is no chance of assassination. They also have no empirical evidence, especially because leaders in the Middle East go to war all the time. It's incredibly unstable as per the embark card, which means assassination should have occurred over those wars, but it did not. Nationalism is a direct response to political psychology. Countries are deeply attached to their national identity and sectarian divisions, which means they are likely to go to war. B, there's no deterrence because there's not a secure second strike, which causes an incentive to first strike. A lack of command control, short flight times, and it means that it's likely to escalate. C is that interdependence is outweighed by historical mistrust. There is no economy between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Both have enough oil to keep themselves comfortable, but they also have massive sectarian tensions. Their evidence is much too generic, unlike the Inbar card, which is devastatingly specific. Trilat not going for this impact and C that it won't go nuclear, cannot escalate, and Japan and China will never go to war. Now, the counter plan, if there is a minuscule solvency deficit, that means that, or from roadblocks, that means at least a delay. Collapse is incredibly time sensitive. Just takes one nuke for a terrorist. The used their mission suck. It's Congress does not pass it if it's not popular. We can see the link level of the dissent, which means that it makes Obama look super weak, so the commission will never do it. That's the Marshall card now. It links to politics because lobbyists pay a lot of attention to these counter plans. That was the card that said I forgot. Now, here's proof that all deadlock is inevitable. Anderson, 10 Republicans capitalizing on popular anchor, Republican backing necessary after the commission could deadlock the efforts in withholding support Republicans and the full commission also faces suspicion percent from the practical makers and to circumvent their power. The commission itself is unpopular, less from stressful, the commission's high cost will return trouble. With this is the problem. Good National Response Commission, Congress under no obligation after restrictions to agree they may ignore a term. Do the counter plan is a process that results in the plan. It does not sever because it mandates that it results in the plan. Unlike the counter plan, just permits the process. Their interpretation relies on winning. Congress knows the plan is going to get done during the uncertain process, which proves they have artificially changed process concerns to make education worse. Fiat should not tie the act to certainty. Immediacy answers are illegit because time frame proves that it's not genuine. Also, Fiat wouldn't tie the act to immediacy. A, it's worse for the negative. Wouldn't be able to get the politics DX. That requires Fiat to include the delay. B, it makes it impossible to be F. There are thousands of ways to procedurally tweak it. Undermines F-specific debate and results in in-depth prepared. And worse than that results in depth prepared debate. C is it's a better decision-making model. The choice between the counterplan and plan's artificial. Prefer an interpretation that generates meaningful comparisons with the plan. The inability of the dissent to stand alone demonstrates that it leads to bad debates. There are other ways of getting process education that don't rely on artificial competition, things like politics states, and also other counterplans. That means that our interpretation trades off with focusing on the F. Conditionality checks F biases. The F was removing over 28,000 troops from South Korea, which means that would solve anyway. Now, it's also not time frame permutation. If I say you should go to law school, doesn't mean stop judging and enroll. It's American Heritage in 2000, the will to do something, resolved implies policy. Louisiana 5 resolution and legislative instrument used for city policies. The term resolved significant definitions conceded from the 2AC just means measurably large. This all applies to why certainty-based competition is bad. Anyway, now the politics is at first the overview. The F is it means that the F is the intervening actor because it is necessary to the capability to stopping North Korean collapse. And also, there's no way to structurally increase the chance of terror. We conceded the Mearsheimer card in the 2AC, which says there are tons of other barriers, but only a North Korean collapse circumvents them. AIDS is decreasing, hell into 14 new HIV infections and diseases, and AIDS are decreasing. We can possibly control the epidemic by 2030, eventually ended the number of people with HIV is stabilizing at 35 million. The AIDS epidemic can be ended, never reach AIDS has fallen 55% since 2005. And UN member states agreed to target getting rid of HIV treatment to 15 million people by 2015. Concedes a shit walk card. There is an evolution which promotes herd immunity. Their argument about how its cases from the 90s is ridiculous because that would not cause total extinction. It's in retreat globally, global fund. In 1418, HIV retreat the HCV interventions for preventive measures, new infections declined. Steadily in 2013, registered a 33% decline from over with an increase in people accessing treatment. Those who are HIV positive are accessing treatment and living longer now. The Thumper debate, all of this can be true, but it proves that the thesis of the political capital is wrong because he's already playing golf over a lot of issues. The McCullough card is about how Congress will push. The nomination alone should have pissed off the Republicans. It's on Fox all the time. The 1NC link threshold was incredibly low, and it means that there's negative coverage of Obama now. Now, it won't pass partisan rich sharp calendar finishing Bennett 3, 28 opponents never agreed that opioid epidemic, although you can because most states and districts of the House leading here just before the recent period began exposed partisan, race of friction, factors driving the addiction epidemic program Democrats likely figures on the uptake of prescription painkiller related deaths like access to treatment drugs to 70% of House Republicans have problems with the suffer efforts to stop drug carriers on laws making marijuana illegal free drug prosecutions, whether it's time for the House to make substantial changes in the Senate measure complete negotiations on a promise to get it done on Obama's desk is unclear. The way over the Supreme Court is escalating. The Raju embedded Barrett 317 to couple with the message Democrats only have one for themselves to benefit us getting more of the Supreme Court in the aftermath of Obama's decision to nominate Garland. Republicans are now lending on second out the president dying confirmation hearings for nominee hearing has given Republicans and Democrats constitution the GOP led Senate GOP is taking it to a whole new level. Obstruction will hold under the pressure will begin Thursday when Garland begins to make runs on Capitol Hill. Wait, back to the counterplay. Intrinsic firms are not a voting issue. Wasn't intrinsic in the first place. Protect the argument, not the team. Now they. No PC alienating the political decisions, right parties support the power group controls creation, the content separate analysts vote involving ideologically diverse issues.
What card was that?
The lead card is marked at issues.
Okay. 542 starting. Did you read the two cards? The first two cards? collapse, counterplan, harm reduction.
Collapse, counterplan, politics.
Sorry? Yeah, it's nuclear power war, collapse, counterplan, politics. Is anyone not ready?
The assassination argument checks any of their nuclear retaliation or Middle East prolific back to nuclear retaliation means that there's no risk of escalation because the United States or any other country would not be able to retaliate because the cabinet would cause them to be killed. Anyways, their empirical example doesn't apply because there's never been a full force nuclear counterforce exchange, which disproves their argument that assassination wouldn't occur. Prefer the Wall Street because internal how the cabinet would react. Also solve their Middle East prolific back because Middle East countries wouldn't escalate because people in the Middle East countries wouldn't want for escalation to happen anyways. Also cross apply all of the economic interdependence arguments which should be able to check Middle East prolific methods now collapse. It might be true that they have an impact that says that one nuclear terrorist attack caused extinction, but they have conceded that forces on the South Korean border are key to rapid response. We made the argument that post-collapse, the North Korean government will be in too much confusion in North Korea to launch an offensive means that troops on the border is key to a rapid response capability to secure the nuclear weapons in the first place. Look, this is just a gut check argument. There's no way that the AF can ever solve the impact. You can vote negative on presumption because they deploy from the continental United States or they leave forces in the region, which means that they can never solve. Go to the counterplan. The counterplan solves the 100% of the affirmative. The Brack Commission proved the Commission's worth the executive card. Also brings an example of FDR doing a commission on Social Security, and the Commission created momentum for policy reform because it built consensus for reform in Congress, and the counterplan does the same thing because it also builds, it overcomes the bureaucratic inertia, and the DOD is able to solve for the plan. They say that it's all solved on these steps, and it only takes 30 days. That was in the 2NC, and they conceded it. They say it's not passive, it's unpopular, but it builds bipartisan consensus. They conceded the 2NC Glassman card, which says that it's distinct from lobbyists because lobbyists don't have access because the commission proceedings are secret, so the lobbyists won't be able to change it, but it builds bipartisan consensus because it's able to resolve the key issues that each party has and develops a new policy proposal which is more and more viably accessible, which means that it avoids the link to politics but solves the entirety of the app because they will hammer out their differences and leads to passage. Now, Grip the Anderson and Glassman cards doesn't assume the commission of the counterplan that are modeled off the GAO and have both of the executive and legislative branches nominate people to the commission to be able to negotiate the passage of the plan. All of their evidence in the context of congressional commissions only, which doesn't solve. They consider the Thomas Carter says that it leads to congressional follow-on, which means that only a risk that the counterplan is able to solve. All do the permutation debate here. They only extend perm to the counterplan, which is a framing issue. The counterplan doesn't mandate any part of the plan. It recommends the plan to a committee, which is allowed to make substantive modifications. The counterplan is competitive. It's not topical. It tests the word resolve shouldn't significant counterplan that tests the resolution or key to negative ground. The CX of the 1AC made the counterplan competitive. Their answers prove the app is certain because there can be because that was a certainty argument that they made in the 1MC. The definition of the counterplan defeats because it's an accurate reading of the resolution requiring resolve and significantly to be interpreted. Their interpretation of should is not exclusive with ours. Should means immediate. It's the only way for us to be able to guarantee DA links, or else they could always just delay the plan and make it so that they can spike out of our DA links. Their argument that it's key to politics doesn't make any sense because the only way for us to guarantee politics links is for the plan to be immediate. The counterplan is competitive. It's different from the normal cheating consult counterplan because it never fiats the plan. It's simply recommended to a commission, which is allowed to make substantive modification. This is proven when on the war power topic, people read the executive counterplan and said it led to congressional follow-on. This counterplan is no different from that. It's also important to solve for the argument that we have our interpret that negates all of the counterplan that they don't fiat the app plan. All they need to beat the counterplan is an argument for why the DOD wouldn't listen to the recommendation or why the effect of the agent or process or time frame deficit. The permutation is severance and it's a voter makes the plan conditional, negates any possibility for clash to make the F a moving target, which makes it impossible to negate aeronaut theory because there's a new F and generics like this counterplan are key to negative ground. There has to be a check on small left, otherwise the net can never win a debate. Fiat also doesn't check because fiat means that the plan has to be immediate. Oh, that was above. Go to the this side. They still conceded reintervention. This argument was an attack of the 1C impact evidence. No new arguments protect my 2 and our AIDS causes global instability and we'd be forced to come back to South Korea. HIV pandemic outweighs their impact. Assassinations in North Korea collapse doesn't escalate because countries never respond with nukes after a terrorist attack because their leaders are killed. Default to probability. They conceded intervening actors mitigate North Korea collapse, but you can't negotiate with AIDS. Their only treatment solves the 1 in our impact evidence says AIDS causes global instability, which shares their impact because of refugees and border disputes. They say that their Kellen card is a new argument rejected, and the group, the 1 AR HIV evidence, all of them is about new cases of HIV, not about cases from the 90s. The 1MC impact says the long incubation time between HIV and AIDS means an outbreak is inevitable by 2020, even if future infections are unlikely. There are millions of individuals who already have the disease. It's just a question of whether or not we transition to a model of harm reduction. And also answers their herd immunity argument. That was a new argument, so you should reject it on face. The HIV solves global argument was solved above. They say that DC and political capital is not true. It might be true that there be multiple issues that are floating around, but Obama is only focusing on one issue. That was all at the top of the docket argument. The Jaffe and Nikolov cards indicate that Obama has made harm reduction a top priority, which means that other issues don't stop. You should also prefer issue-specific uniqueness because none of their evidence is in the context of harm reduction. They say congressional push nomination Lincoln threshold is no, but the Lincoln threshold is survivable. It's all in the context of how the plan is a massive bolt from the blue and is a break away from U.S. foreign policy posture, which triggers insurance anxieties. All over uniqueness of the post-its through Bennett card is in the context of the Obama is able to push for funding now. Their argument is that there's no funding. The argument is that Obama's PC is key to funding, which is able to make it past the first place. They're only reading a low uniqueness threshold for us. Now, the war over the South, I'll do the numbers right here. Elections isn't that we consider the choice he saw. Luke Evans says that Clinton is crushing Trump, and everyone knows this means this doesn't implicate harm reduction or Obama's agenda because everyone already knows the outcome of congressional elections don't stop. And either they make Obama's ability to persuade the people with PC more likely to prefer issues making is the Johnson McCullough Center says Obama has
SCOTUS and then answer the PC thing.
they say SCOTUS, but there's no impact to this argument. They consider that there's not going to be a vote anyways, and there's no impact. Also, the PC argument was answered above.
Yeah, they didn't read enough of that card.
They didn't read enough of the card. We read card saying that PC theory is true, and that Obama's focusing all of his PC on one issue, harm reduction.
Okay, how much time do we have left?
4:42, I think.
Alright, let me see. it will be the collapse advantage. There's no war contention. The counterplan. The dis- I almost started on the wrong flow. That would have been bad. Problem is solved. Everyone good?
Yep.
North Korea is a ticking time bomb waiting to explode every second matter, which means that even if we win a small risk of solvency have to do the counterplan, that is another risk of Korea collapsing because unpredictable assassination events means that it is teetering on the brink and there is no way of knowing due to opaque regime structure. You assume the worst because the conceded total impact is not based on retaliation, but a single nuclear terrorist attack from a North Korea nuke that is dispersed globally, causing extinction. You have not contextualized any of your no war defense to its terrorist actors who already expressed violent intent and would have capacity to get a nuclear weapon and detonate it after US. There is no way the ISIS chain of command would assassinate a leader who wants a nuke. That's just preposterous. You've also conceded North Korea that North Korea would distribute bioweapons, which is unchecked by traditional vaccines. It is more mutatable. AIDS would spread globally, which triggers all the warrants for their disease spread, turns any impact calculus advantage that they have now. We're no war advantage. I answered this. What?
They said that.
LOL. Forces in South Korea would be able to rapidly redeploy RSLI interceptors, give us the infrastructure, lets us surge back quickly. Their evidence does not assume rotational presence. We have just done a shift in our emphasis that did not reduce any combat capacity, but the plan is critical to effective interdiction. The Johnson evidence, the 1AC says that training is the critical variable for effective nuclear interdiction, but our current troops are a shell-shock deployed plan where they are not able to train enough land to sap morale, which so they cannot get. In fact, the plan is also key to surge capacity because it integrates the troops with the reserve, the guard, which is the only way to get enough troops necessary to stabilize Dukes. Thanks for catching that. No war advantage. I answered that above. They didn't contextualize it to the terrorism business, the counterplan. Oops, it means measurably large. Measurably large. You should read the definition through the lens of which produces a better model of debate because they have not provided a justification for how they produce quality debates. Here is the framing issue for their offense. Even if their interpretation is a little bit better for the negative, even if ours is a little bit harder, they have not provided a reason why the quality of those debates is something that is worth saving. So you should prefer an educational model where the neg actually has to read disads on a topic about reducing the military presence of a bunch of great ones. Our AF removes 20,000 troops from South Korea. That is way more than MSU's off-count app for any app on this topic. If you do not have a disad to that, then that is pretty pathetic. Those are better debates should be those are better debates that should be encouraged. No, only our interpretation guarantees the negative politics because it relies upon the process of the act being debated in Congress. That is a long time frame. If they are able to force abnormal means of immediate interpretation, there are no congressional debates or no focus rate votes. There is no legislative haggling, which is what their link argument, the 1NC, was about, which demonstrates that we are better for the day. But even if they win, that we shut out the politics, they said there is no impact to that because we still have plenty of other ground. You have also conceded that there are other procedural questions which solves your XO argument because you can read a disad about the process. George Mason has been reading a disad about the BRAC procedure for the entire year. Countless many teams have also read procedural-based disads which demonstrate that if you are right that the process of the core literature, you can always have that as a backstop for preserving topic education. This is not the executive counterplan. What this is a recommend counterplan. There are infinite numbers of recommendations, different documents, different guidance, planning mechanisms, which are always infinitely progressive and are never able for us to solve, which means that even if we could have an argument that DoD would say no, then we wouldn't into their specific context of whatever random recommendation of the day they would have to think about it. To all of you have teams that are left in the NDT, would you like their year on a fantastic topic to be ended on a counterplan that at a random, minute process recommend the entirety of the plan? If you answer, obviously you would answer no to that. They've also conceded conditionality as a backstop against all forms of negative ground. We have conceded if rise up with negative flex and means they'll get to say whatever the hell they warrant against new apps like theirs, which provides a check on new apps are good as well. I spent a bunch of time researching this and read a lot about a different area of the topic. That is something that you want to encourage, especially when one of their standards is topic education. Don't judge the make differently because a new app, especially when there are other means of redress. They did not make a judge cake argument. So if we win the permutation, then you should not jettison the counterplan for them, because that forces 2AR, because that encourages the 2NR to not make strategic decisions. But as a critical skill for me, there's always a risk of a solvency deficit to the counterplan, because there are budget negotiations and lobbyists who can corrupt the process. They will always find a way in. Empirically, commissions have not resulted in policy change or an excuse for legislative gridlock, especially when we conceded the entirety of the length that everyone hates the plan because it's weak on defense of the commission's process would not change that. It is out. No, it doesn't cause, if it causes reintervention, then that's the app's argument, because reintervention, good apps, they haven't impacted this global instability track. There are no war, and it doesn't extend to terror, because there are other barriers to nuclear terror. As for their review track records, AIDS is massively declining, even without resurrection measures conceded uniqueness claim from the 2ACA is evolution. HIV has stopped causing AIDS because its status quo antiretrovirals are becoming increasingly available, means that it can be checked without stopping heroin. That's the quality is trends. They've dropped 35% since 2005, but a bunch of their shitty impact evidence was written. The states are increasing treatment now as the Kellen Global Fund evidence. All of our cards are from 2014 or more recently, but there's 10 years. There's is 10 years old. There's also no quantifiable time frame for when this impact occurs. It takes a long time. Interreactors can resolve their impact, but there are no interreactors because Kim has alienated factors like China, etc. Korea is teetering on the brink. It will not pass, and Obama's PC does not change that because the Republicans favor a law and order approach that takes things like drug trafficking, and the root cause of the Democrats want liberalization. This means even if PC works in the abstract, it does not in this instance, because almost already states his liberalization camp and could not backtrack, which creates an intractable